So I will not speak about airing only. This is our product range, what we are more or less like showing and offering in the aftermarket. So it means like from the classical gaskets, special gaskets, cylinder head gaskets. In 2 weeks, we also have appointment for a webinar for cylinder head gaskets, the right matching bolts, liquid sealing compounds, which is nowadays very important, completely sets. This is also a nice thing what we have, and even like radial shaft seals. This is even like a big point from our side, what we can also serve. And not to forget our plastic valve covers. So Earring is well known for gaskets, especially Earring Klinger, and but what today and nobody was expecting that we are just starting now 10 years ago or more. More or less like was in the end of 90s, so it's really long time ago as we're starting to produce plastic modules. And nowadays we are not doing like only valve covers. Nowadays we do really, really interesting stuff like oil pans, even like for heavy duty applications. This is classical hard engine, and even like the MDEC, a smaller one out of it. We're also doing the valve covers for the Packard, Renault, everything in series. And slowly we bring these parts even to the aftermarket. I would say slowly because mainly we doing this in the OE business, but nowadays we're also realizing aftermarket is quite important, and so we take these parts even like in the aftermarket. And this is also what we did with our valve covers. In the future also will come like our intake manifolds. There we're also starting for intake manifolds to offering this in the aftermarket. So also, by the way, quite nice information, but this is like really the competence what we had since many years. So, but why did it change more or less like the valve cover from metal to plastic? This is the major question at all, because if you have some people out there and they said, yeah, made out of metal would be better, it's more durable, long lasting, lifetime, and so on. That's true. But the point to produce like some metal piece you need a lot of power, a lot of energy, what you have to invest, and the output to create a valve cover, it takes, I would say, a long different kind of process steps what you need to produce a valve cover. So made out of metal, and even like maybe some of them are not good, not out of the tolerance. And that was one of the inventions that the pure cover, and this was when we did like this for the first Ford engines, the C-Tech engines in the 90s, we did really replace a metal cover into a plastic cover. I named it really by cover because in the beginning there was only to cover it up something. There's no integrated function. There was not bolts integrated, even like the valve cover gasket, you have to put it by yourself inside. So this was a very classical cover, and there was no big demand to also achieve any kind of future functions in it. Nowadays, the story looks a little bit different because why and what is the benefit made out of plastic? For sure, plastic has also a defined lifetime. Over years and years, it's more or less like the plastic, the polyamide, what it's inside, and even like a fiber nowadays. We have also fiber material inside in this kind of valve covers integrated. They have also some defined lifetime because they're getting more or less like the softness going outside, and so the plastic gets more bursty. Yeah? So something like this. And this is the reason why you have to change it. But what in the beginning, why it's the benefit to produce something out of plastic, there's a positive thing because we are completely more or less like open in the design. Because to shoot, we are speaking about shooting plastic parts. You only need a shape, a tooling, and the tooling you can do it in a quite simple way. You have a shape and a B shape, and in between we are injecting some plastic, mixing polyamide with some fiber material, and in 60 seconds it gets shot, one of the valve covers. So it means you only need 60 seconds, and then you have the main layout of this more or less like of this valve cover. For sure, you have to clean it a little bit, like the injection channels, and do everything away. But the benefit it is, we also can do from the design some integrated multifunction, because today the requirement of this kind of a valve cover is completely different as we had many years before, because in the past we had really only a cover to protect everything that the oil is not splitting out. Nowadays we have some valves integrated. We have some oil separators integrated. We have also some NVH, some noise vibration harnesses, means like the sound of an engine and even like the vibration, the frequency, what could be created in some different kind of RPM levels could be eliminated by this kind of rips, what you see here in the design, only by the valve cover. And this is really like a benefit from our side. And now it comes the more important point today. The OEs, they want to have one supplier and he's bringing one assembled part to the production line. So that means like they have to order only one number, and there's integrated the bolts, there's integrated the gasket, the valve cover gasket, even like the oil cap, and the valve is also integrated, and they take this part out of the box, what they need for the production of an engine, and put this directly on. There, in the case of a warranty and even something is not okay, they have only to address this kind of problem to one person, to one supplier. And this is what they want to have. And this is also one of the reasons why nowadays you're producing a completely part and deliver this completely to the line. So even like what are the requirements for any kind of valve covers? For sure, there's a different kind of temperature resistance necessary today, even like because engines getting hotter in some areas, and the plastic must be even like robust. But also what we take a look later is like the function of the crankcase ventilation. That means like there's an integrated valve inside in this, not in all, but sometimes in some valve covers, and there is a membrane inside. This membrane has also a limited lifetime, let's say, and this membrane is controlling the internal pressure. What it's exactly doing, I have some slides later, what I will explain you in detail what happens there. Then even like we have oil separators, later we will also see how it looks like, and then you will realize, okay, there is no chance to open up and to clean something, because over some mileage, maybe 100,000, 250, 150,000, then the oil mist is going inside there. There's also some filter elements, and this filter elements inside plastic welded. There's no possibility to do it in a different way. And you cannot clean it. So in this case, you have no possibility to put this, even like this part, into a washing machine and then wait, and then it's going cleaner out. No, this is really some carbon deposits which are stacking really deeply inside. Yeah, this is like the point. But how can you find out when the valve cover has more or less like a typical failure and like the symptoms? Because in the beginning, and this is like what everybody is realizing from the first step, it's like that you have some leakage. Leakage are very classical. Leakage means like your valve cover is leaking outside, drops and so on. And the first intention is like, hey, I have to change the valve cover sealing, yeah. And oftentimes the people are doing this kind of step, and that's quite good for us as Iring, because we can sell them a gasket, that's fine. And then they change it, but after a short period, they not have this kind of success what they was looking for, yeah. So it means like there was still a leaking. So then I thought, okay, maybe the gasket is not the right way, the quality and so on. But in the end, it is not the gasket, it's the valve cover. And it's even like the PCV valve, how we're calling this positive crankcase ventilation valve. You can see it on the top. And that means like this is not working in a proper way as it should be. So you can also realize that sometimes you have misfires that could be also happening. You can also have a rough idle. So that is also one of the typical symptoms of your engine. And even like you can have a smell inside in your cabin that you said, okay, here smelling a little bit like oil, burned oil. That's the typical thing, because the oil gets dropping in some hot areas and then it goes into smoke and gets pushed into the inside, the interior. So this is like the classical things. And even like some examples, if you're not able to find any kind of product, let's say, to make some cracks really clean, to close them, to glue them together, or to fill them up, because inside we have all the time the oil, and the oil is really looking for the smallest gap what you maybe not see by your eyes. It could be really hairline cracks inside in this plastic material, and then you have some wet spots. This is what you will see. But it's for demand for a liquid sealing compound to make a proper sealing job on that spots, it's quite difficult, because you have all the time different kind of temperatures, you have movements, you also need flexibility, but you also should be hard enough that it's going into the smallest spot. So it means like the viscosity should be not too thick, it should be very thin. So all of them will be not work in a long way. So that is the reason that we give a recommendation: don't use any kind of do-it-yourself solutions. There's no way around. You have to change it to a new one. Otherwise, if you mislead more or less like this advice, then even like in mini engine, it could be looking like that, because this is a classical symptom. You see EP6, it's a combination engine of the mini, and even like in Citroën is used, the Prince engine, they call it like that. And if there is more or less like the PCV valve no more working the right way, then you don't realize that water and oil is mixing up together, and you get this nice latte macchiato style inside in your engine. I think that is not this what you want to see, but this was really one of the classical symptoms, especially for that engine. So I spoke a lot about the PCV valve, but how does it look? So this is like a classical example of a defect membrane. So you see here on top, there's a membrane. The membrane is made out of rubber material, what we're calling an elastomer material. And the elastomer material has also defined, or more or less like a limited lifetime, let's say. You have to know, it doesn't matter from which rubber we are speaking. We are saying, we are estimating lifetime is around 10 years. It's a little bit depending in which kind of location, working area it's installed, and also even of what kind of material do they use for elastomer. Because there's also a wide range of different kind of materials. One is working more or less like against hot temperatures. The other one is better for fuel application and oil application, but they don't like the hot temperatures, and so on and so on. And even like this PCV valves has a big influence about your quality of your fuel. So that means like if engines running around the world, that's for sure, but you have some areas where you have really not the best quality of fuel, what we as Germans have. We are very lucky, what I learned. Even like if we're comparing this with the US, I'm not sure how it's in the UK, but they don't have this kind of good quality of fuel what we have. Even like they have something like 87, 91 or something like that. And here in Germany, you can buy up to 102, something like this. So that's quite clean. And that means like on the opposite side, if the fuel is not in a quite good quality as it should be, then they have a big influence of the lifetime of this PCV membrane. So when the membrane gets cracks, as you see here, then there is not more the possibility to control the internal pressure. And this is really everything about the pressure controlling of the engine inside. And if this is broken, then the engine gets a kind of an overpressure. And the overpressure means like the oil pressure gets rising on, and then it's the oil is searching for weak points that they can start with the leaking. So that means like if you have more pressure inside in your engine, then the oil was searching for some weak points. And the weak points are classical, some soft rubber gaskets. You can imagine. So it means like a valve cover gasket, for sure. It's made out of rubber because this is necessary in this kind of function. But they will start with leaking. Even like, and this is also what you have to know, if we speak about rubber material is has more or less like the fact that if it's getting old, it's getting hard. And if it's getting hard, you're losing the softness, and the softness you need for have a proper sealing function. So if it's getting hard and you have a higher pressure inside, then you have less flexibility. There's a possibility for any kind of leaking, and the leaking will pass by the hard material. So That is in the end one circle. And if you realize now, that is the reason, like if you take a look on used cars, if they're getting in the age of 10 years, 11, 12, then it starts slowly with leaking here, leaking there, leaking this. And that is all kind of facts why the gaskets are failing, but not failing by quality, failing by lifetime, doesn't matter. And this is also the fact what kind of gaskets it's used for which kind of application. Okay, the clock oil separator, what you see underneath, this is like the element, what I thought, what the oil fumes are more or less like also flowing around, it get mixed up by the cranks, by the camshafts, by everything inside in the engine. And these fumes has also to catch up somewhere, yeah? Like a catch can. And this get catched up here by this separator, oil separator, and there's some small metal pieces, and they're separating the drops out of the air. And as you see here in detail, this is really, really a lot of carbon deposits to see, and this you cannot clean. As you see also, we used here some cutting device to open up more or less like the plastic material to give you a few. Also here inside oftentimes are some filter elements, some mesh, what are here integrated, and there's no possibility. Even if you can go there inside with water, I'm pretty sure you cannot clean it completely as it should be. So the PCV valve, as I shortly explained about this, is a positive crankcase ventilation valve. Means like in the case of low RPMs, the valve is closed. If you get the high RPMs, the valve, this is kind of a check valve. It's open up, and even like if a backfire is coming, could be also open up. So this is like the situation, how this PCV valve is working, and this is really keeping all the time the right pressure inside in the whole system. Also, a classical point could be a reason, and even like if you have a higher oil pressure inside in the oil, then as I told you, you can maybe have a leaking of the valve cover gasket. But also oftentimes, and this is also speak about a modern engines, let's say like 5, 6, 7 years old, they also use this PTFE oil seals. And this PTFE oil seals, in comparison to the classical radial shaft oil seals, what everybody knows under the name Simmer-Ring, yeah, they have in the back some spring, normally the Simmer rings, yeah. And the PTFE, this is only a drag lip which is laying on the shaft. So, and if this drag lip is slowly laying on the shaft, that means like if the pressure is coming, you can easy pushing by the oil the pressure between this only laying lip against the shaft away, and then it starts with the leaking. So that must be not all the time the reason that the valve cover is starting with leaking, but the cause of the leaking could be the PCV valve. This is also a very important fact. So some OEs have a separated element for HER and even like the PC valve integrated. BMW, for example, they have it integrated in the valve cover. Depending of models, it could be happening that sometimes it's a clipped version, sometimes it is a plastic welded version. Even like the French cars, they also have different kind of variants inside there. But in the end, there's a fact, this kind of valve covers is a big need in the market. So I have also here a nice movie where we have a detailed look inside into a BMW valve cover. There's also shown, because it's one of our videos out of our YouTube channel, where we can show, okay, how it looks like inside in a used old valve cover. Yeah, and even like the whole functions, what you see around of this valve covers. As I told you, we have that inside integrated channels, and this is, give me a second. I will go 1 second back because I want to show you something. If it's for me possible or not, no, it doesn't matter. Maybe I will find it later. The point. Yeah, so the haarline cracks, you will not see it. That is oftentimes very difficult to see. You need any kind of light that you really, really see. Also, what is a fact about the valve covers, they have also some tightening instruction that you have to go in the right order. And if you see here, this is the old gasket, it's getting hard. And if it's hard, then it's, yeah, no more useless, and you have to put it away and replace it to a new one. That is the one fact. Some of them, they don't need any kind of liquid sealing compound. So it means like the silicon. If you have some half moons, as we saw there, then it's necessary to do one drop. So this is also one example of this oil separator part, which is completely clogged about this carbon deposit stuffs. And this is a very small channel, what is from the design located over there. So even like if you're using your washing machine and put the valve cover inside, it's not getting completely cleaned. So as you see here, now we open up the PCV valve, and the PCV valve is also one part. Underneath there is the spring. The spring is pushing it back to the membrane valve. So, and even like the material gets very soft over the years. So it means even like hard, yeah, for sure. But if it's getting hard, then you can easily pull it away because it breaks into pieces. This is a classical thing. So, and this is like the filter element that you can see really the different kind of mesh material inside, and this is completely clogged as you see there. And even like the valve cover from inside, it was really looking in good conditions. So there was the integrated channels, and this is like yeah, a big challenge to clean them. So, but nevertheless, how is the part coming? So it's coming completely fitted together, like with the gasket, there's with the bolts, with all the elements what you need. It's coming in a big box, and I can also tell you a nice story was really we underestimated the dimensions of these boxes, because before in the aftermarket it was trading more or less like with gaskets what you see in the back, and now the dimensions of valve covers which was packed, this was really for us a big challenge to find space for all this kind of valve covers. Yeah. Because the demand worldwide it's quite high, let's say, and this is really positive. Even like the quality, for sure, we as an OE have the quality to be sure that everything is fitting. Because I also heard from out guys out of the market that even like the quality of some competitors are not equal as ours. So also the last slide, what you did see, we also sending out with this kind of valve cover some tightening instruction where you can see where you have to start. So that is more or less like the fact about all these things. Yeah. So as I said, it comes completely assembled. Then this is also maybe some nice information what you never note before. Let's say something like this. PA is standing for polyamide, and 66 means like more or less like this is like a description for the material, and the GF is like the fiber. What is, because this is not only polyamide, it's also a fiber material mixed with 40% inside. Yeah, so 40% fiber, the rest, the 60% is the polyamide. And so you can also decide, okay, which kind of the part is made for which kind of application, because we're not only producing parts like for valve covers, we're also doing some intake manifolds. We're also doing nowadays some engine mounts. So really, really engine mounts. That means they're replacing metal pieces. And nowadays there's really some carbon fiber inside. And that is used, for example, for Mercedes-Benz. So Mercedes-Benz, they're also using nowadays, oh, many years now for us, like the plastic parts. So there's no more metal anymore. So yeah, as I said, this is here inside the instruction manual. And this is also very important to know that in the instruction manual, you will find here the right facts to tighten up the bolts, because oftentimes it could be possible that you start in the middle and then you're going outside, and then even like they have sometimes even like rotating angles. Yeah. So that's the reason why we are creating for all of our valve covers like this tightening instruction, where you can see really how you have to follow up, and even like for which car it's matching. So I named it with some points. It exists some applications where you have to use one drop silicon, especially on the N14. There's this half moon situation, and there's a need for it. And this is like a general advice. If you have any kind of valve covers and they have some half moons on the edges, there's allowed to use 1 drop of the silicon. Otherwise, the gasket can fail, not must fail, but there's a possibility for it, and this is like the reason why you have to do it. Also, some interesting fact, if we are speaking about the silicon, it doesn't matter which kind of application you want to use silicon. If there is elastomer gasket involved, there's normally no need for it because the elastomer gasket is doing a job by themselves. That means like by the design and the flexibility of the material, and even like of the softness, if it's a new gasket, then they will handle the whole completely different kind of situation. Situation means like hot, cold, situations, even like against the medium, what it's running inside oil, and even like the fuel. So there's really not positive if you're using in addition some silicon. So it means like if you want to cover it up, your completely valve cover gasket with some silicon, this is not the way what we can recommend. And even like said, please don't do it like that. Only on some defined spots that's necessary and allowed to use 1 drop of the silicon. So our range is growing more or less like from year to year. Even like we did start in the beginning with the classical BMWs series, like from N52 until the 55, 54, 20, 46, also the N20. And then even like the Prince engine, what I named the N14, and even like the EP6, like they also used for Peugeot and Citroën. And the N12, N16, EP3, EP6. So these are the classical things. Nowadays, we have also for the Volkswagen 3-liter cylinder head cover for Volkswagen, even like used for Audi and Porsche. So this is also one of the part what we put from or got from the OE department now for the aftermarket. And this is, it's growing, but yeah, we are just working on it, that we get more and more where we see a demand for it, because if there's no demand, then it doesn't make sense. But in the end, if there's a demand for it, we analyze it, and we are bringing more and more new valve covers into the market. So, gentlemen, we are close to the end.